Welcome back, Generals, to another Let's Fix Generals 0 Hour to make the best game ever. Good, before we jump back at code, let's see what we can review here. We have 74 pending requests. Fix some wrong if expressions. Change compiling. Okay, what is this? Oh. Huh? Ah, I see. Debug crashing. But shouldn't this then also be in generals? Yeah. It should also be in generals then. Build, fix. What is this a follow-up for? Looks like this also needs replicating in generals. Looks good. What is this a follow-up for? To do replicate in generals. Make startup 3 seconds faster. The initial progress bar after the intro is delayed 3 seconds for no reason. Interesting. I don't know why they included this. Maybe they intended to implement a fade in effect and never got to it. didn't happen for quick start. This PR removes the delay and also some common code. 3-second delay. Let me see that. Oh. Load screen updates. Huh. Okay. Interesting. I think the title is a bit misleading. It should probably say remove 3 seconds delay from game boot. From game startup. Remove a 3 seconds delay from game startup. Remove an unnecessary 3 seconds delay. 3 seconds wait. Remove an unnecessary 3 seconds delay. 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Remove unnecessary 3 seconds delay from game startup. Okay. To do replicates in generals. Labels minor performance. Looks good. Needs replicating in generals. So say here gen zh. Clean up command line parsing. This cleans up the code for command line parsing a bit. Bool phase 2. What? Trim. Command line phase 1 params are passed before Windows creation. This runs the game without a window. Graphics input and audio used for testing. Phase 2. Okay. What is this? Let me read the description. Cleans up the code for command line parsing with. There already was some pre-parsing code for -win headless. This PR centralized code in command line. Okay. And also creates a global data object a bit earlier to simplify the code. Okay. Note that I will need this refactor in PR to properly set the mutex instance for replay simulation. Okay. Phase 1. Phase 2. Okay. Application is windowed false. And windowed. Okay, this looks fine. In its subsystem. Okay. Okay. So it's created somewhere else now, by the look of it. Pass command line false. I'm not a fan. I do not think I think this function interface is confusing. Reads confusing. We need a suggestion how it should be better. Okay, I mean, this is fair here, phase 1, phase 2. Why is all this necessary here, but it wasn't necessary for the previous one? Pass command. So this next param function, this was previously used by WinMain. Hold on. So that's interesting. So here we have parsing code, but then in command line CPP, we also have parsing code, right? Somehow. How is it parsed here? I think it would be better to pass the phase arrays instead of saying which sort of specifying a phase bool. put that here. No, I think that's the right location. I think it would be better to pass the face array instead of specifying a face bool, because pass command line true, false is not clear at all. Whereas something like pass command line face 1 would be much clearer. Yeah. It's not clear what it does. Why is it necessary to create the global data in here? This should be created. This should be created outside. Let me say, I do not think that a pass command line function should have the responsibility of creating this global data. It probably should be created elsewhere. Yeah, it looks weird. Like you have pass command line and that suddenly creates a global data. When it's not phase 2, meaning it's phase 1, but if phase 1 already has a global data, then it returns. What is this? What is this? It's so confusing. Like this looks like something that should happen outside. Like this function should not be called for phase 1 if the global data is not null. Like this should be an external decision. It shouldn't be something that pass command line decides. I think I think this is a condition that should be external to this call, external to this function. This function that would be better, that is better external to this function. If it is necessary at all. Not phase 2. I really don't like the way this is implemented. Um, it's not good. It's not good. I also don't understand why he's preserving this next param function if the command lines in the command line CVP originally didn't need that. So why preserve it just for these two command line arguments? Or am I missing something here? Because this next param here, so it removed this from here and it removed all that. I don't like this change. It's doing too many things at once, I think. It's moving things and then it's moving things and also changing things, right? Something is not right here. Something is not right. Yeah. I do like that. That's good. Why do these things need to be merged? you can zero terminate arrays to make them end. Zero terminates. To mark their end. Otherwise, why do the command line if not phase 2? Given all these extra conditions for phase 1 and phase 2, I suggest to create a pass command line phase 1 and command line phase 2. Okay, which then means we don't need but given how many conditions there are for phase 2 in this function, I think it would be even better to split this into 2 functions that share code from other functions. Pass command line phase 1, phase 2, and then have a pass command line array common. Does all the phase 1 specific things, does all the phase 2 specific things, provides code or does things that both phase 1 and phase 2 are doing. Does things that both that serve both phase 1 and phase 2, depending on the past array. Yeah, basically the problem I have, there's way too much stuff crammed into this function. Like it needs to be split more apart. This function has too much going on. It has two phases. It checks global data and returns for some reason, but only in phase one. Then it also allocates. Eventually, if it didn't return, it will allocate the global data here for some reason. Then it will do some stuff here that both phases will do, but then it does something specific for phase one. Then here it does something for both phase 1 and 2, right? And then it does something for phase 2 specifically here, right? So there's a lot of different concepts in here, just crammed in there. So this needs to be split apart into multiple functions and then combine them in a meaningful way so that we have like the phase 1 and the phase 2. And maybe give them better names. Like maybe phase 1 is maybe like where's this main pre pass command line, where's this called? Pass command line is called in init. Pass command line on init. Pass command line game engine init. Say it's, and the first one is pre-init. Pass command line. After loading global data. After loading global data. Post global data. Post global data. I don't know. I'm not sure. I will put it with phase 1, phase 2. Perhaps there are also better names for phase 1 and phase 2 because it is not clear really what these mean. So, for example, could say things like pre-window creation, on okay, mention init. Pass command line. Pre-window creation. Pass command line. For engine init. For window creation. Something like that, yeah. I don't know, maybe they're better names, just putting suggestions. Perhaps there are also better names for phase one, because it is not clear what these mean. So for example, the functions could be named like that, yeah. Something that describes like what, like how they should be called, right? Pass command line for window creation, pass command line for engine init, which would then like make the intent much clearer, right? If you name them phase one, phase two, like what does it mean? What is phase one? What is phase two? What is this, right? So yeah, be specific. So I do like that he wants to put it into the command line CPP to consolidate this. This is good, but I don't like the way this is done because it's just so hard to maintain and understand what's going on here. Like this should be much simpler. Yeah, and I think it's possible. It needs a bit more splitting apart, yeah, to put the responsibilities into different functions, yeah. Would be a bit clearer. Let me also give an example of a zero terminated struct. See what time struct to mark the end. Yeah. No. And then loop through them until the null entry. This one can also be null. To help pass arrays to function, to help pass arrays to function. This command line param arrays to the function. You can zero terminate struct arrays. Update comments. Okay. Yeah, I think this needs to be improved. Yeah, a little bit. Okay. Let me add here my comments. I suggest to simplify this code is not easy to understand. It's difficult to understand. I propose a few improvements. The direction this change makes sense, but this code is difficult to understand. Okay. Okay, so this is a refactor. Yeah. It also needs to be replicated in generals. Replicate in generals. Okay, let me see this here. Will this still work when the game doesn't have the rights to move the DLL? That's a good question. Looks like overkill. It is. Given that the retail game still works when the DLL is deleted, wouldn't it make more sense to simply show an error message when the DLL is detected and instruct the user to delete it? Maybe even just rename it automatically when the game has the rights, or ask for permission from the user to do that. Will this still work when the game doesn't have the rights to move the DLL? Will this still work when the game doesn't have the rights? No, I mean, no, when the game cannot remove this file, then it won't work. Then it will not work. For that, we would have to hook load library. Yeah. cannot remove this file, then it will not work. Cannot rename. When the game cannot rename this file, then it will not work. For it to work in such a scenario, we would need to hook load library. NTDLL's load library. Min hook. For that to work, and then prevent loading that way. We can add hooking for Windows with minhook. Yeah, it's a good point. Like, if it doesn't have the rights to, but hold on, if we have, I mean, we can test that really quick. Let me go to you would need to launch the game as administrator. Yeah. The game will not work. The game would need to be launched with admin privileges. If the space, if the location it is in requires that permission. If we want this to work for unelevated executables, then we would need to hook NTDLL's load library and then prevent loading that way. We can add hooking for Windows with. This way, then we would not need to rename the file at all. We would not need to rename the file. Would not need to rename the file at all. The game would need to be launched with, but the game cannot rename this file, then it will not work. The game would need to be launched with admin privileges if the location requires that permission. In program files, it typically does. if we want this to work for unelevated XML, then we would need to hook NTDL slow library and then prevent loading that way. We can add hooking for Windows with that. Then we would not need to rename the file. Yeah, we can add hooking. It would be certainly more elegant. We don't need to physically touch the file. Yeah. 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 Okay. What's next? Done. Make that and that extern and make it the same in release debug. Okay, let me check this change here. Get identifier, what is that? Is this legal? ASCII string. STR. Oh, I need to refresh my memory on the destruction rules. Is the following C++ code legal? Legal. STD string get string return string void function printf %s get string dot cstr is std string not deleted before after it's not deleted when passing the cstr the cstr for its into printf. Legal, but it contains a potential bug known of using a dangling pointer. Get string returns a temporary std string is called on a temporary object yielding a pointer to the internal character buffer. The pointer is passed to, but the temporary is destroyed at the end of the full expression R, which is after the semicolon. Yes. It's not safe. It compiles and runs in most cases, but it's not safe. What? It's destroyed at the end. Returns temporary, returns. The buffer is only valid as long as a temporary std string lives. Since the temporary is destroyed after the printf code finishes, the code is technically safe, but only because the pointer is used immediately. There you go, yes. Is there any case where a temporary would be destroyed before the printf call? Is there any case where temporary would be destroyed before the printf call finishes? For example, if more temporaries are chained. No. Most reasonable chaining situation, the temporary will not be destroyed. It will live until the end of full expression. How can you create situations where temporary lifetime gets tricky? Multiple temporaries are void. Evaluation order is not guaranteed. Yeah, that's certainly dangling. Also save. Okay, so it's probably fine then. Okay. Okay. Why is the CSTR? Ah, there's a SCD string. Okay. Okay. Yeah, looks all good, I would say. Did we miss anything? No. So you can remove core from here. Change that age done. Refactor non-trivial string objects is a variadic function parameter. Okay. Good. Approve. Okay. Validate map paths when creating real map paths from portable map paths. This discussion is quite detailed, so the summary here is brief. Jesus Christ. Okay, I first need to get a better understanding of the issue. I read this over, I still don't know. I need to look at the code, I think. So, there's a first save from pristine map log. We need to copy the pristine map. Save. Let me take a look at the function. Oof. The name of the map is read from the file. The string is passed through to convert the portable path. Fall through case where, if the map name string does not match any of the expected prefixes, the input string is passed straight through. This one here. Use a bad path. Where's the assertion? Ah, here. Maps evil.exe. Since maps evil.exe starts with maps, is deemed as being within the safe directory. Pass the check. Okay, and what's what can be done here? I don't understand. How does it get to execute that evil exe? Okay, but I mean, even if you, if you extract this map, then yeah, you can have like a malicious file there, but no one is executing that, right? So, what's the problem? As long as you don't execute that malicious file that was transferred, so to say, then nothing happens, right? So, as long as there's no execution to it, it's not. It doesn't look like a critical issue then. Yeah, arbitrary data, crafted save file. He's talking about save file, but I think what he means is a map file. And the user loads the map. The game extracts the data to the chosen path. This leads to an arbitrary file override. Well, I guess it could try to maybe like override generals.exe, right? So that the next time the user launches the game, it then runs a virus. Yeah, maybe that is a very here. Maybe. Yeah. Let's see. So basically, the attacker can, the map transfer can write the file to any location. And then you could try to write an executable somewhere that could be launched by Windows, for example, on start. Yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, I see. So the game itself is not launching it, but like if you write it somewhere, you could write it into a location that is either auto started or that is started with the next attempt to launch the game. I see. Okay, so the map transfer, I see. Okay, that's actually a critical issue. Okay, I understand now. Okay. Um, okay. Extract and save map. Is in save directory. Is in save directory. Where's this code? Game state map xfirm. I think we're already in there now. Right. I see. Okay, so we need to check that the map is actually a map, and that the location it's written to is the proper location. I think a good way to prevent attack here is not just, as he said, not just check the path, but also check that the file that we got is a map file that we expect, right? But then we are not just transferring map file, we're also transferring ini file, and str file. Yeah. Okay, so let me see the problem. When combine and portable pass with a base pass, validate that the resulting absolute pass is within the base pass. This validation is done by normalizing the absolute pass and comparing it to the normalized base pass. If the normalized absolute pass does not start with the normalized base pass, the portable map pass is considered invalid and an error is returned. In order to facilitate this, the local file system implementations get a new normalized pass method. Normalized path. Normalize a file path. A path can refer to a directory. File path must be absolute, but does not need to exist. Okay, that makes sense. Empty string. Supposed to ends with. What? Starts with no case. code can be simplified with a if def win32 const char pass set equals else and if better write this as CPP can become easier to read with a I suggest keep using same terminology test for derived strings. For clarity. It looks as if this can be a static function. Maybe it can even be moved to a perhaps it would also be a better fit somewhere in the file system files. Yeah, because it doesn't look like it's using any members, right? It's all static, yeah. It uses the file system. Yeah, so now if it could be used by other codes in the future, could be useful for other code in the future. File failed to normalize, otherwise it's bogus, do nothing, let the transfer timeout. Please add a comment here. Maybe we should add a new keyword. Security fix, maybe. Fix. Bug fix. think this variance a spikers add bug fix comments with explanation. Normalize pass, normalize buffer, max pass, chars written, get full pass name. Chars written. Why is this here? What is this? What is this function? Get full pass name. What? It's a Windows function. It's probably fine. But this way it's do we need a fallback if were to happen? need a fallback buffer grow. Do we need a fallback buffer grow? If and def when solitaire. Okay. This comment says Unix, but it refers, but the code refers to anything non-Windows. Do we need a growing fallback buffer? Instead of using normalized buffer max path, we could call get full path once with a zero buffer, to get the required length, and then allocate a buffer for ASCII string in the necessary length, and then call get full parse name a second time with the ASCII string buffer. Allocate a buffer. Okay, ASCII string buffer with the necessary length, and then call it from a second time. That's how I would do it. Call it once to test the length, allocate the ASCII string with that length, call it a second time, fills the ASCII string, and then return the ASCII string. Yeah. That way you don't need this. You have the ASCII string straight away with a buffer length, and in theory you could even then have larger than max path, right? Theoretically. I don't know if that really happens in practice, but yeah. Yeah, but it does make a lot of sense, this change. Just a few things that I think can be improved here. Yeah, so maybe this is in parse directory. Maybe this can be added to here as well, to the file system. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Map paths and creating real map paths from portable map paths. Maybe we should add here. Maybe we should have a new keyword, add security. Yeah. Or bug fix. Bug fix. Or just fix. Fix. it's security. I think let's go with security. Yeah. Why does it need to do this at 2 places though? So here, if web name is empty, and then here, what is this? Why do we have 2 places? Process file. Parentheses, parentheses, log raw, here. I think. Yeah, this one should be here. Why is this an assert? Isn't this network data that can be anything? Cannot assert. Why is this an assert? Isn't this path? Isn't this file name coming? This path is coming from the network, right? Why is this an assert? Is this test really necessary here? wouldn't would would that not already fail? Not already fail if the file was empty? Or would that empty file succeeds somehow? If the file string was empty. Yeah, so I don't understand why we need this assert here and this condition, because I would expect that this already fails if, well, the difference is that it returns here, I guess. Ah, okay, so he wants to return. Let me go on that file. Yeah, this one. I see. Okay, so this is about returning here. Condition is redundant by moving it into the scope below. Assert condition is redundant. It looks like it should be a debug lock, like it is in the other code path. Down here. this says quitting. This implies that the application is quitting now. Good. Let's fix some comments. Okay, so this is milestone, major bug fixes. Labels, bug critical security, bug critical security, gen ZH. Okay. It's probably unrelated to this change. Good. What is this here? Adding early emergency repair shortcut buttons. 2 types of emergency repair. Good. I think I will take a break here. Oh, already 2 hours, 15. Good. Take a break. I wish you a great day or night. Until next time. Goodbye.